In this video, I will be using my iPad Pro M2 for a whole day without my phone. This will mainly replace my phone, so I will be doing everything in my iPad. I mean, I feel like the iPad is a little bit weird because it's a hybrid device between the MacBook and the iPhone. And I will be testing different scenarios and situations to see where it performs the best and where it lacks the most. Alright, so the iPad that I'm currently using right now is the iPad Pro M2 chip, and it's the Wi-Fi version. It's really good. I really prefer this one than the other one with the SIM card. And the only problem right now is that I might need to connect this to my phone to be able to stay connected online and stuff like that. And I'll be able to take calls like FaceTime, Zoom, all those stuff. And I feel like this is also the best time to try this using Google Maps to see whether it really works as it should. So I'll be trying this using Google Maps first. So let's go. Alright, so having the iPad as a GPS is super funny. I mean, just having a huge screen on your dashboard just makes everything intense. I mean, I would see a good scenario for this. For instance, if I'm out traveling and I'm looking for the nearest hotel or the nearest restaurant, this would be the perfect opportunity to use the iPad as a GPS system. But for this case, I do still think it does well. And as you can see, I am in a hardware store, so I really need to find things that would fit my kitchen in some ways. So this is where the iPad really plays a huge role. For me, I could just scroll endlessly on the iPad because it has that huge screen and I can see everything mostly on 4K. So what do you think about the iPad?
Very good.
What would you use it for?
To plan your timetable and other things.
I mean, that was
Yeah.
not bad. That was not bad.
Yeah.
That was actually good. What else?
And to watch YouTube.
I knew it. I knew it. Everybody be watching YouTube on this iPad, bro. But anyhow, the iPad is a great device. I'm not gonna lie, and I feel like everybody should actually have something like this. But yeah, planning, doing productive stuff, editing videos, creating thumbnails, doing something that will help you back in return is a way to go. But like, as I said, most people would rather use this for watching movies or playing games. But I still have so many other places to try this, so we'll see how this iPad really helps me. Alright, so when you log onto Apple's homepage, you'll find two alternatives. You get either the Air or the Pro. I feel like many people go for the Pro just because they feel like they need the power, while the Air still performs super great. But what does Pro stands for? Well, in this case, I will see Pro as two things. Pro as in you're a professional who really need the iPad to generate some type of income, whether you're a videographer, a photographer, or a designer. And don't get me wrong, the iPad is mainly used in educational spaces and creative space, which is what it's mainly for. Then you get the other type of Pro, which is the enthusiast, like the people who really just want the cutting edge and who really just like the status of having something that is called Pro. And it doesn't really matter what you choose. The only thing you should think of is what are you going to use the iPad for? Alright, so having the iPad is super great, but the only downside with the iPad is the size that could be a huge problem in some places, some situations, like being able to put this in your pocket. It could be super hard to, carry around sometimes. You might just need an extra handbag or a school bag that would just, fit. But sometimes you might need to do something really quick, like answering the phone, for example, or stuff like that. It's just going to take a longer time to take off the bag, to unzip the bag and take the iPad out to use. In some ways, it feels better to have the iPhone than the iPad because of that reason. Look, when it comes down to the camera, the iPad is super decent. I mean, you do have a decent 12 megapixel camera, and I feel like it's alright in some cases. And this is the front facing camera that I'm using right now, and I'll show you the back front-facing camera in 1 second. And here you get the back-facing camera, which is a 24 megapixel camera. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not that bad. It's basically what you get on the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 13, I guess. But I'm not really sure exactly if it's the same sensor. But I know that the iPad M2 chip does a great job when it comes to camera-wise. And let me know what you think. And you might feel a little bit weird filming with the iPad on a normal basis because it's such a huge device, and I feel like you get away a lot more with the iPhone because it's a small device. But filming with the iPad is just so wild, I'm not gonna lie, but it's super fun to actually go around because people just look at you like you're weird and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's the cost of using an iPad as a phone, right? But there's so many things I think many people should have when it comes to using this iPad. Because using it alone, well, it works, but man, you really need the extra accessories like the Apple Pen and the Magic Keyboard, because without those, I don't think you would actually meet the full potential of the iPad. I feel like the iPad really needs those things because with the Apple Pen, I could actually sketch, I could write and take notes, because back in school, GoodNotes was one of my best friends. I was literally using this for everything, like taking notes, sketching, just brainstorming ideas. And to be honest, the pen really saved my life when it comes to iPad. And then to enhance my productivity, I actually got a cheaper version of the Magic Keyboard because I'm a student and I don't have, I think it's 200, 300 bucks for a Magic Keyboard. It was just too much for me. So I went for a more cheaper price keyboard and it really served me well.
When it comes down to multitasking on the iPad, I mean, it's decent, but honestly, it's not as smooth as having multiple windows on a laptop. Like, if I'm trying to juggle a spreadsheet, a browser, and a document, it feels a little clunky, I'm not gonna lie. Look, if you're writing anything more than a quick text or email, you'll need an external keyboard. In this case, something like a Magic Keyboard. And if you have big hands like me, you might feel cramped after a while. So the best thing is to probably use a normal laptop if you're going to write for a long time.
But the actual problem is that it doesn't still feel like a computer. It feels so much jankier than you would expect. And that is what's making me a little bit like, you know what? I don't want to care about this. And something that would be super cool is if the iPad actually got a macOS instead of the ipadOS, because I feel like you get more power that allows you to write code, edit, play games, and browse with unlimited tabs on. And for now, I just feel that the iPad isn't as strong. And yes, I know that that is what Apple wants, but I feel like there's so much potential in the future. So we just have to keep eyes and see what kind of updates Apple really has for the iPad. Anyhow, this was what I have for the week. And if you found this video awesome, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in next week's video.